All right, folks, it's time to pull out a track, and oh my goodness, I'm going to have fun with this. I chose this track, actually, using Danny Gatton's style for two reasons. One, Danny was an amazing, amazing blues player and could virtually use his chicken picking style in throughout blues along with his B3 style as well, which really were the his blues, chicken picking, and B3 stuff were three of his major styles that I loved. And so another reason I chose this track is I had a very close friend of mine named Jacob Doss, who was 19 years old, just passed in a car wreck at 19, and this track we were doing for him. So I'm using that track in honor of Brother Jacob Doss today, and I know he loved Danny Gatton as much as I do. So anyway, this track is in B flat, which is a B3 player's dream, and it's your standard kind of blues. So we're your standard kind of 12-bar blues, if you will, but it's and it just moves from the 1 to the 4 chord, then back to the 1, and then to the 4 again, and then the 1, then to the 5, and then to the 4, and then back to the 1. Now, I know there's a lot of repetition in this rhythmically, but the groove is so swinging and so happening that I had to pull out my Roto Spin by DLS, because what this is going to do for me in this track is give me some of that Danny stuff where he loved to play like I just love to hear that pedal slow down. So cool. But essentially, this is gonna enable me to showcase that a little bit, and of course some Danny style soloing across that. Now I gotta say, Danny Gatton could be the most aggressive, notey guitar player, in that sometimes he could just rattle the teeth right out of your gums. I mean, just with some of the fast speed and preciseness that he had. But yet, on a blues tune, he could let that thing breathe and let it do what it was supposed to do. So, showcasing both of the dynamic range Danny had, along with the B3 stuff, the chicken picking, and of course, it's just going to be such a hodgepodge. But it's going to show the kind of aggressive fun that Danny Gatton was as a player. And I hope I can pull this off for you guys in a way that makes sense. Hold on to your hats is all I can say, because this is going to be a fun ride. So here's a track showcasing Mr. Danny Gatton. folks, that track was bluesy as all get out. I'll tell you, I love Mr. Danny Gatton, and I know a lot of people are like, well, I didn't hear Danny do a lot of swing blues, but I just thought it would be fun to totally go Danny Gatton hog wild on a blues track. So what I did here, guys, was try to keep true to tradition in that it is a blues song. And, of course, I did want to pay homage to young Jacob Doss that I love so much. I'm going to miss that little guy, and, of course, I miss Danny too. But anyway, so I wanted to play it as a blues tune but throw some Danny in there. So what I tried to do was stay true to the... Now, if I actually kept it really, really true, you would actually see that all I'm playing is... Now, yeah, that's a very standard way of playing that song. But you know and I know, well, if you don't know Danny, you wouldn't know, but I can assure you Danny Gatton would not play it that straight ahead. So I actually had to add a little bit of sassafras on this track and give it a little... So I'm still using a minor pentatonic here, guys, but I'm just really being aggressive with how I'm playing those notes. Because I think that's how Danny would do it. And just get that, get it out of you, you know. But what I did is, when I went to the 4, I used more of kind of that Hammond B3 thing. And, of course, I even started the song off that way with that... So I still wanted to keep true to that whole B3 thing. And you'll notice I did that a lot throughout in like the 4 chords and the 5 chords, because Danny himself would have probably played that way. And I even tried to bring in some of the... Because that's another thing Danny would do, is stick some jazzisms and a little bit of flat 5 notes, stuff like that around. Without really changing the whole blues vibe, he would just add little notes in there. And see, those are the subtleties about Danny Gatton that I just love, man. I just get all up in that business right there. So then, of course, I had to put in some of the true Danny Gatton, you know, like... Now, on that, I actually got aggressive enough to just use the pick and use my fingernails to just accentuate the backside. So now, all I'm doing here is so I'm just doing that back and forth. So all that is so if I do it slow, you can really see, but when you hear it in context... Now, the other thing I'm doing is I'm using my delay to help me here. So I'm bouncing off the note of the delay. That's how Danny got that sound to happen. So I use some licks like that in this blues tune as well, because they're really fun to do. And, of course, I call them the jumping licks, because they kind of make you jump up out of your chair and go, whoa, what was that? And I love licks that do that. I really do. So then, other than that, I played like in the solo area. I kind of did it straight, but still kept it Danny Gatton. So I would do like... yes, I had to put a Johnny Hilandism in there. So that little tag on the end of that blues line, you kind of learn that from traditional blues. And I think if Danny actually had played this track, he would have actually left those in there, because that's just standard, blues 101, is let that thing breathe a little bit on the tail. So that little kind of triplet thing just enables the line to stop, and it builds that tension that's needed so that when you come back in, you're going to release that. It's kind of like a good back scratch, You're like, oh, it's itching. Ah, you got it, right? And that's what you need. And Danny Gatton was the best at that. I mean, he could build you up to where you'd just be like, oh, he's going to crash and burn. And then, oh, man, he didn't. Look at that. So I tried to do some of that myself in this track too. But I did follow the B-flat kind of range of the fretboard. So to be honest with you, that's kind of hard to play Danny Gatton in that, because when I did the Gatton lick, that's a pretty good little stretch right there. So, and then if you noticed, in throughout the track, I moved it way down and brought it down here. So here again, use that double stop line to get back into more B3 things. So I tried to keep true to tradition in the blues fashion in honor of my buddy Jacob, but also to really totally Gatton out on this song for you while staying true to form. And of course, playing the key of B flat too, which is a little bit weird for guitar players, but then again, it was a track that really enabled me to show you kind of the aggressive style and the total fun factor that Danny Gatton had to offer. I can assure you this, folks, I still learn from Danny Gatton to this day, and I know if you go out and buy his records, you will too. You'll fall right totally in love with what that man played. And I just have to say, for years to come, if there's ever any Heroes things involved with TrueFire, I always have to put Danny Gatton in every single thing that I do. He's just a mesmerizing guitar player, and I'm so thankful that he was around for me to learn from and everybody else. Truly just a master of the Telecaster, no doubt.